Hello, everyone. Welcome to Nutrition Matters podcast. My name is Paige, and it's kind of bizarre, but here I am recording my last episode. Um, I don't know how you feel about that. I don't know if that seems like a big deal to you or not, but for me, podcasting has been a big part of my life for the past 5.5 years. And so I thought I needed to hop back on here and explain a little bit about how I came to this decision and kind of hopefully tie up any loose ends to the extent that I can and just give you a little bit of parting advice if it's helpful as you move on from listening to the podcast. So let's start off with giving some context. So for some of you, maybe this will be a repeat a little bit, but I want to give you some context as to why I even started in the first place and then how I got to the point where I felt like it was just time to make a change. So 5.5, probably 6 years ago now, I went through an experience in my life that was really, really, really challenging. And I felt really alone in going through that. And one of the things that really brought me through and really helped me was listening to podcasts. And I spent a good solid, many months just pouring myself over the resources that I could find that helped me not feel alone, that helped me understand what I was going through better, and that helped me start to heal from there. And when I kind of felt like I was coming up for breath, I thought, you know what? I would love to do something like this for other people. And I thought, you know what? Why not a podcast? And why not podcast about the things that I know and the things that I'm good at and the things that I do? And so that's how it started for me, was really this intention of trying to hopefully pay it forward a little bit since I had benefited so much from it. This was 2015, so this was before podcasts were really a big deal. Since then, obviously, lots and lots of podcasts have popped up. There are so many podcasts at this point in 2020, end of 2020, that talk about intuitive eating and healing your relationship with food. And so I'm, by no means alone in podcasting at this point, but back then there really weren't many. So it's been really interesting to kind of see this project morph and evolve through the years. Um, it has brought so much goodness into my life. I have learned so much. I have grown so much professionally and personally through these conversations that I've been able to have. I've connected with such amazing people. It's been so fun. It's been so great overall. What has been really kind of unexpected and hard for me is I didn't ever set out to I don't know. It's kind of even weird to talk about it because I don't want to make it sound like I think I'm a bigger deal than I am. I'm not. But it's bizarre to me that I will get emails from people, in Australia and the UK and Africa and, all over the world. People are listening to this podcast that I just, talk into a microphone and put it out there. It's both incredibly cool and a privilege and amazing, but also like a little bit scary because I don't know if I ever really got into the right headspace to have such a voice in this space. And granted, I know I'm not by any means famous or well known or a public figure, but in this little corner of the world of intuitive eating and challenging diet culture, lots of people who are interested in that have probably tuned into this podcast at some point. And so it's an interesting and very bizarre thing, and kind of fell into my lap really organically. And for a long time, it was fun for me to kind of feel like I was able to have a voice, and it became a pretty big part of my professional identity and how I conceptualized myself and my value and my worth and my role and my purpose. And none of that is bad. I mean, I think that's all great, but where I'm at now is I've kind of gotten a little bit of a what's the phrase that's used? Like I've gotten insight into kind of the inner workings of some of this world that's just weird, and it's just not really me, and it really makes me uncomfortable, and I'm not really sure I want to be a part of it. Um, so to give you some examples, there is so much weirdness about people basically harassing me to come on my podcast. I mean, I get 5 to 10 emails every single day with people pitching to come on the podcast. And I have to constantly say no. And then they keep harassing me. And, I don't have an assistant. I do this like honestly out of the goodness of my heart. And it's really feels like a lot of people see the podcasting as like, obviously, I mean, it is a business opportunity and it is a thing, but gosh, it's become this really gimmicky machine like thing. And I don't even know how people find my emails or my email address. So fielding all the pitches is exhausting. And then there's other things like people do sort of like do a favor for me and then expect to come on my podcast as repayment. And there's just bizarre things for me interpersonally and professionally with other clinicians where, maybe I don't align or I don't necessarily want to promote their work, but they think that I owe them for whatever reason. And there's just enough weirdness like that I'm like, you know what? I just need to be done because I'm really sick of dealing with that whole side of things. Especially like to put it into context too, like I work full time. I have a full caseload. I have 3 dietitians who work in my practice with me. And I'm also doing distance school with my kids. It's a lot. And like navigating all of this other political stuff that happens, in the inner workings of running a podcast is just not what I want to do. And I don't make money from podcasting. So it's not something that I can really hire out. And there's just a lot of stuff that just has kind of conspired to just be like, yeah, I don't want to deal with that anymore. Um, there's also the side of things where I don't know if you guys remember, but was this last year or the year before? Honestly, time is so weird. But at one point, I was like going to write a book, and that was the most bizarre experience ever for me because I saw how I was not going to have really any autonomy over what was said in the book, and they didn't trust my expertise. They just wanted to basically to just use my credentials to slap on the cover of this book that they already basically knew what they wanted it to say and didn't care about it being true to me. And that was sort of a turning point for me where, in my mind I was like, okay, I'm in this like basically, and I didn't think about it like this, but like I'm in this rat race where it's like more listeners, more conferences, more speaking opportunities, more followers, more. And then, oh my gosh, I might be getting a book deal. What the heck? And then realizing, wait, I don't want to do that. And wait, what if I did sign my name to something that I ultimately didn't feel was true to me? Like, what? And it kind of caused me to take a step back and just be like, what am I doing? And honestly, ever since then, I have not really felt the same about podcasting because what am I doing this for? I mean, obviously to help you, and I hope that it has through the years. But at the same time, I have to say, like, a lot of what I feel like I can say on a podcast has been said. A lot of what I feel like I want to say has been said. A lot of what I want to say, I can't say because it's too nuanced, it's too individualized, it's too tricky to try to convey to an audience of, and I'm careful not to even talk about numbers because fully believe that if you are truly in this weight neutral space, but you're flaunting your podcast downloads or your Instagram followers or whatever, I just don't see that as being authentic and aligned. I see that as being very antithetical to this whole weight neutrality, but now I'm going to flaunt my numbers. Um, and and so there's so many things I would love to say that I can't. And that's why I started Nutrition Matters Premium, which is the $5 a month. You get access to more podcasts. And I thought that that would give me this renewed energy for podcasting in this sort of more intimate group of people who really like what I'm doing enough to be willing to pay for some content. And honestly, just to be super straightforward and transparent, like that's been fun for me, but it really, like, I'm not making money as I sleep. Like, let's just put it that way. Like, it's barely even covering the costs of podcasting, and it's definitely not even covering my time. And sure, I could be more salesy. I could be more aggressive in my marketing, and I could be more in your face about like, pay me here and join this and do that. But you know what? I don't want to. Like, I don't want to do that. And I don't really feel like I have time to do that either. And I don't want to hire that out because I want whatever I'm doing to be authentic. And so I'm in this position where I've tried other things. I've tried to kind of see like, okay, will I feel like doing it in a few months? What if I put it down and then how will I feel then? And I just keep coming back to I just think I'm done. And it's okay to be done. And one thing I'm really proud of in running my business is I've always made decisions based on what feels right. There's been times where I've said no, and everyone asks me, why would you say no to that? Or there are times when I've said yes, and people are like, why would you agree to do that? Like, what are you thinking? So I'm not the world's most savvy business person because I really truly feel like my business is my values. I align my decisions with what feels right to me, and I'm willing to take, advice from other people, and I'm willing to be wrong and all of that good stuff. But in the end, challenging diet culture also to me means challenging marketing culture and challenging entrepreneurship culture and like challenging the formulaic thinking that we engage in when with running a podcast or running a practice or being a dietitian. Like you can't separate those things. So I know I talk about this all the time on the podcast, but one of the beautiful things about working on your relationship with food is you can't help but have that bleed into other areas of life. And for me, doing this work absolutely has informed how I think about running my practice and how I think about running a business and my professional life. And so with all that being said, like I I want you to know like I'm not angry. I haven't been mistreated. I mean, sure, there are people who have been awful to me throughout the years and there's people who really don't like me, and that's fine. I get it. But I'm just saying, you know what? I'm kind of done. And I really right now am most excited about individual conversations, individual work with my clients. Um, I am a person who needs and craves and thrives off of nuanced, complex, meaningful, deep connections and conversations. And a podcast is a great way to do that. Um, but the social media culture we live in, the call out culture, the uber ultra woke culture, it's just too much. It's just too much. And I'll probably get in trouble for even saying that, but um, you know, I kind of don't feel like I need to have the reach that I felt like I wanted to have in the past. I feel like I am getting more and more comfortable with nobody knowing who I am, except for my clients, doing really good work day in, day out, quiet, unacknowledged work, and just living my life and enjoying my family, enjoying where I live, enjoying nature, and not having my mental energy be monopolized by that awful email I got or that horrific interaction I had with that person who doesn't really doesn't really know me, doesn't take the time, just takes me out of context or whatever. Like I'm kind of done with that. And that's not really the kind of life I want to live. So I need nuance, and the online world just doesn't feel supportive of that need right now. And so I'm just going with what feels best to me. I'm really excited about these one-on-one conversations. I'm excited about how challenging it's been to challenge my my ego through all this too, like my sense of identity, my sense of purpose, my sense of professional worthiness. Like if I'm not podcasting, then what? And am I still okay? And do I still matter? And that might be kind of vulnerable to admit, but I've had to wrestle with that. And the answer is absolutely, I'm still worthy, and it's okay. It's okay to be done. And I'm sharing all this not to be like, I'm so great, but really more because I feel like my loyal listeners, A, deserve a bit of an explanation, and B, I hope that it gives you permission to maybe look at something in your life that maybe you have had this gnawing feeling like, I need to look at that. I need to understand that. I need to question that. And I need to examine and reassess. Is that what I want to be doing? Maybe me doing something like this and sharing about my inner world in navigating this, maybe that also helps you think about something in your own life. So that's my intention in sharing all of that. I also really want to just say thank you. I know I talk about how it's challenging to be public and out there, but it's also very rewarding and kind of makes me want to cry a little, like all the people who have taken time to let me know how this podcast has helped them. Means a lot to me. It's really why, sorry, um, it's why I started podcasting, is because I wanted to give other people the gift that I felt like I had been given, um, in not feeling alone and in being able to listen in on conversations that like helped me heal and touched my soul and helped me feel more whole. I hope that this podcast um, has helped you do that. Whew, I'm not actually a very emotional person, but I think this is just, I'm exhausted. It's been a long year. So let's talk about what I've been up to, if it's fun for you. I got a kitten. I got a kitten in September, and I'm not kidding. It has been such a fun thing for me. It's brought so much joy and play and fun into my life, and he's a little rascal. We enjoy him so much. He is, I think, 4-ish months now. So he's still totally a kitten, but he's very snuggly, and there's nothing like a little soft, snuggly creature like sitting on your lap and like purring and just enjoying your presence. Like that feels so good. So that's been a lot of fun. The election was something else. I still feel like I'm physically recovering from the anxiety of constantly updating my New York Times app on my phone like every second for basically an entire week. That's been really intense. Since I last checked in with the podcast, I've also actually hired another dietitian in my practice. Her name's Lauren Jones. She's a sports dietitian. She is seriously wonderful, fabulous, amazing person. We're so lucky to have her. Um, she she's working in the practice just a few days a week. She is so amazing. She takes Blue Cross Blue Shield and Cigna as of now, and we're adding her onto a couple other panels right now too. So that's been a fun update. And then I'm also right now really enjoying knitting. So every winter I get way back into knitting, and then winter fades away and I kind of forget about it for a bit. And then once it gets cold again, I get excited about it. So a couple projects I'm working on right now, which is fun. I'm thinking about a couple upcoming projects. Maybe I'm considering doing a whole course on starting a private practice, because that is something that I get asked about all the time. And I would love to be able to send people to a resource that feels interactive and helpful. So keep your eye out for that if you're interested, or if you're a dietitian, or if you're a clinician and maybe could use some help or some coaching with that. I might be making some resources about that in the new year. We'll see how I feel. But yeah, thank you so much for being with me on this journey. I've learned so much. I appreciate your grace and your forgiveness in my imperfections. I appreciate you being willing to allow me to grow and evolve and shift and morph and be imperfect and messy and complex. I know so many of you have given me that space, and it's meant a lot, and I feel that support, and I'm just very grateful for it. And if I can, I would love to offer a little bit of parting advice as a dietitian, kind of speaking broadly and generally to you, the listener. Hopefully, some of what I say might mean something to you, but I want you to know that I believe in this. I believe that you have what it takes to have a healthy relationship with food. Like, you are not defective. Any dysfunction that's cropped up with you and your relationship with food is probably because that's just the best that you've known how to deal and how to handle, how to get through the stuff that life has thrown your way. Your body can be trusted. If that feels foreign, if that feels scary, think about times in your life where you have built trust with another person after struggling with that. Like, how do you do that? What steps do you go through with another person to build trust, and try to do some of that same stuff with your body? All day, every day, your body is showing you that you can trust it. Like, maybe it's not perfect, and maybe it's messy, and maybe it's hard, but so is every single relationship that you're in. Nothing is 100% perfect, and nor is your relationship with your body, nor is your trust with your body, but you can work on it, and it is so worth it, and it's so rewarding, and it brings so much more peace into your life. I also want you to know that there are more important things in life than obsessing about food. There's so much more out there. If you recognize that obsessing about food and body is a distraction, is a technique for avoiding, first of all, you're not alone. Second of all, come up with something better. Honestly, if it were me, I would encourage you to knit. I'm joking, but find something fun that is challenging and that feels good and that gives you a sense of accomplishment, and that feels rewarding. Those are real needs. You do need to feel that way, and you need to have those things, but food is not the best way to do that. You deserve goodness, you deserve joy, you deserve all the good things in this world. And I know that might be weird for me to say, but I work with enough people. I know I've known enough people through the years to confidently say that this is just true across the board. You deserve it. You are worthy of goodness. You're worthy of feeling good. You're worthy of having a healthy relationship with food. You're worthy of spending time and energy with the hope of developing and cultivating something better for yourself. You're worthy of that. I hope that means something to you. Last thing I'll say is I've gotten some feedback from some of the folks in the Nutrition Matters Premium group, and I just wanted to read some of that. By the way, I'm actually shutting that down as well, so that's not available. But I just wanted to say, I just wanted to read some of the feedback I got because made me feel good, and I hope maybe it encourages you to check out maybe some of my resources that I offer. Um, so before I dive in and read this, like if you've gotten something out of the podcast and you're wondering like how do I apply this? How does this work? How do I make sense of that? Join one of my online courses. I don't push it too much because I again, I'm not good at that and it's uncomfortable for me and whatever. That's just not my gig, but like truly, I stand behind what I've created. I've created a resource with Jesse Hoffman, Dr. Jesse Hoffman, actually, about nutrition science called Positive Nutrition 101. I have an online course called Raising Intuitive Eaters that talks about how to take your knowledge of what you've learned about intuitive eating and apply that as a parent raising kids. I have a course called Positive Nutrition for Life where I walk you through like how to develop a healthy relationship with food, and it is like very in depth. It's long form. There's a 70-page workbook that goes along with it. Like invest in something like that. If this podcast has meant something to you, like invest in that. If you feel like you could use something to help you take things a little bit further. So I'm just going to read 2 responses and then I'll let you go. But one person said, the Nutrition Matters podcast and Paige's approach to body acceptance and gentle nutrition is a game changer. Listening to the podcasts is like breathing out a huge sigh of relief. There is a way to stop the insanity and it isn't aggressive or requires you to get angry, nor will it cost you thousands of dollars like some of the other higher profile anti-diet social media stars out there who hook you in with a tiny bit of free content and then ask for thousands for any other content. Paige deserves a lot more recognition and could certainly charge more for her work than she gets, but she stays true to her listeners and what works for healing your relationship with food. I had listened for free for over a year and finally signed up to premium, and it's totally worth it. The premium podcasts have a logical flow to them, and it feels like I'm getting a course in intuitive eating with practical and applicable registered dietitian's advice and spot on insights. So obviously she's talking about Nutrition Matters Premium there, but like, I mean, the same is true with the courses. Okay, here's the next one. As I finally decided to leave diet culture once and for all, I've literally listened to episode after episode of Paige's free podcast, soaking up all her wisdom and encouragement when it comes to intuitive eating. When I found out she had a private podcast with exclusive content released each month, it was a no-brainer. As I transition from tracking macros to embracing intuitive eating, I've needed all the support I can get, and for such a low cost, I'm grateful I did it. The meditations are also amazing. Thank you, Paige, for your hard work. Okay. It makes me feel like I'm not so lonely, and it makes me feel like leaving diet culture isn't so hard. Okay, my friends, I'm just leaving you with that because I just want to encourage you to check out the online resources, and I guess I should mention where to find those. Those are positive-nutrition.com/academy, and all the courses are there. You can check out all of them. I would love to have you join. Thanks so much for your understanding. Yeah, it's great to be with you, and thanks in advance for understanding why I've made this choice and for supporting me in it. It's not an easy choice to make, and I know that there will be so much of what I will miss, but I think it will be overall a relief, and I think it's the right choice for me. So thanks so much for that understanding. And gosh, I usually say I'll see you soon for another episode, but today I'll say I wish you well. I wish you peace. I wish you health, and I wish you well-being and joy and goodness in whatever that looks like in your own life. So thanks for allowing me to be a little part of your life, and it's meant a lot.